Hello, welcome to Bella's Yoga Room. Today, the theme of this practice is getting back into it. So, this theme, I don't know, is just really coming up big for me at the moment. Just feels relevant for a lot of people I'm talking to, for myself, whether that's getting back into work, exercise, anything, then yoga is always a great place. You know, practicing on the mat helps us when we then take that energy out into the world. So we are going to be staying low and just working on just some of those really beautiful basic poses, focusing on the breath, and have a great flow. So we are going to be starting in an extended child's pose. Feel free to bring a blanket or cushion along. We'll use that throughout the class as well, so that can be handy just to have. So you might want to just place that sort of in the center of your mat, bringing the big toes to touch, knees nice and wide. And then just allowing the hands just to come down in front and allowing the head to slowly come down, maybe resting on the pillow or blanket if you've brought that along. And arms can be soft here, just elbows can be down. And just giving yourself permission to be still, to be here, to slow down. Letting go of whatever's happened today. And just starting maybe to deepen the breath. And of course, making any adjustments you need to. If you're doing this with me live, then there's a big thunderstorm here. So my dog was not happy about that. So I hope that everybody else's pets are safe. Maybe practicing with you tonight. My dog has run to the cupboard where she likes to feel safe. So just again, nice deep breaths here. And if you are using a cushion or blanket, maybe just moving that off to the side. Or if that was really yummy for you, then just keep that. Otherwise, allowing the forehead just to rest on the floor. Noticing how that maybe opens up in the neck. And maybe then just rolling that forehead from left to right across the mat, just in really small movements here. And then let's walk those hands over off the left side of the mat, getting that stretch into the right side body. And then walking back to center and walking off the right side. And coming back to center. And pushing up through those hands, lifting up the body, coming into our tabletop position. So hands under those shoulders, knees under the hips. You can tuck the toes or you can just rest on the tops of your feet. And we're going to come into our cat-cow. So cow, looking up, opening across the chest. And then as you exhale, let's tuck that tummy in. And inhale. Looking up and exhale. Couple more of these. Inhale and exhale. This is always just so good for the spine. Inhale and exhale. And then maybe just doing some hips over to the right side. And then hips just bending over to the left. And just finding a little bit of movement here. And you can stay there, or you might even want to start maybe just rocking little circles, coming forwards and then coming back. And again, this doesn't have to be a really big movement. Be just little, just noticing that feeling as you come rock over the hands. You might even want to come back through that child's pose. So just exploring that little circle movement here. Last time going this way. And when you come back to center, let's go the other way. So as you're coming back, that exhale. Inhaling, coming forward. Exhale. Coming back. And again, this can be as big or as little as is comfortable for you, whatever you need tonight. I've been all this, and if you do find somewhere that feels really nice, you might want to just sort of like hang there. That's okay too. Work into that. And then maybe coming back up. Whew. All right, let's bring those knees, just making sure they're back under our hips. We've been wiggling them around. And let's just maybe either coming back just to sit back on the heels, or you might want to just come up. Let's just circle those wrists a little bit. We are working into those wrists there tonight. With the spring weather, I've been doing more gardening, so I'm definitely feeling that. Just that, incidental moving up and down. Excellent exercise, but can be in an awkward position, so got to look after our spine. That's what we're doing here tonight. So let's come back up. Let's bring that right hand now to the center of our mat. Lifting that left hand, opening up nice and high. And then as you exhale, we're going to thread that needle coming underneath that right hand and then all the way off the mat onto that left shoulder. And that right hand can be out in front. You can bring it closer to the face for a bit more support. You might want to bring it to the right hip, but no expectation. Just have a play. We're getting back into it. And let's come back up, opening out again. And then letting that left hand now come into the center. So that right hand here, opening up, over and high. And then threading underneath that left arm, coming to rest on that right shoulder. Again, that left hand can be out. See what that feels like on this side. Can be in a bit closer. Opening into that left shoulder there a bit more. Can completely just listen to yourself, what you need right now. And again, if you're coming back to yoga after maybe a period of absence, then just do whatever you need to do. You've already showed up. Okay, let's come out of that one. We're going to come into a low lunge. So you might either be comfortable just to sort of step that right foot up underneath you, or you might want to come back to both knees and then step that right foot forward and coming into that low lunge. And again, here, really thinking about making sure we're breathing, we're not holding our breath. Hands can be on the hips here. You might want to have the hands even interlace them behind your back. And then just allow that maybe opening up through that chest, maybe lifting the chin. And if you're in that hands behind, let's just release that. And we're going to let that front knee straighten out. And maybe coming hands down there. If you've got a chair or some blocks, you might want to have that handy as well. Straightening out into that right leg. Keeping that right knee as bent as you need to. It is really raining here. Which is a wonderful sound. And then coming back into that low lunge, so rocking back onto that foot, allowing that left hand to come down to the ground, and then opening, have that little twist there. The right hand can stay on the right hip, maybe looking up. And then coming hands down. If you are going to just step that foot backwards, or if you're in the other modification, and maybe just bringing that knee back underneath you, getting ready for the left side. So bringing that left foot forward, hands are on our hips, and sinking into those hips. Staying here, maybe interlacing those fingers behind the bottom and down. Maybe lifting up the chin a little bit just to open up across that chest. Keep breathing here. And release the hands, maybe allowing them to come down as you straighten that left leg and bring the hips back. Coming into that hamstring stretch of that left leg, bending that knee as much as you need to. And here again, just noticing how the shoulders, are they really hunched over? Can we try and open up in that chest? Rolling back forward onto the full foot of the left foot, allowing the right hand to come down, hip distance apart from that left foot, and then twisting over to the left. Big deep breaths here. And coming back. And again, either bringing that left foot and knee back. And we are going to come back into a child's pose. So you can either have the knees together, resting back onto the heels, bottom onto the heels, or you can come into that extended child's pose, which we had the knees nice and wide, big toes together. taking a rest from those arms. Maybe bringing again, get that pillow or blanket, resting it under the head. Just notice if you're holding on in those shoulders, can you just release? Just notice the breath. Fantastic. Coming back up to all fours. So bringing the knees again, hip distance apart, pillow off to the side. Just for the moment, let's have the hands a little bit further out in front. And here, really thinking about stretching the fingers nice and wide. So they're really taking up space. We are going to come into our down dog. So let's just tuck those toes and then lift up those knees and thinking about pushing our bottom back. And the knees again can be so bent. Maybe walking out, so stretching one leg at a time. As you get into that calf, that lower leg. And then maybe finding some stillness. And if this is feeling really intense or really strong, just bringing the knees down, maybe coming back into your child's pose, or just taking a rest or staying here in tabletop position. That's still really getting a good strengthening in those arms. Couple more little petals here. Let's shake that head out. So shaking it from left to right, maybe nod. Yes. And then we're all going to bring the knees down, toes together. And this time when we come into our child's pose, let's let the hands just slide and paint all the way down. So then they rest next to our toes. Fantastic. You did it. Let's come back up. We're going to come swivel over into a seated position. Bringing the feet together for the soles to touch. And if for a more intense stretch, bringing those heels in a bit closer. And always for a bit less, you can have those feet further away. You can also sit up on a block, cushion, blanket. When you're finding a comfortable stretch, we are stretching into those hips and groins here, making sure that the spine is nice and tall. So really thinking up, but also noticing if you've sort of brought your shoulders up, let's just again let them rest down. And either staying here or maybe folding forward just a little bit. Doesn't need to be anything crazy tonight. You're coming back. Starting again can feel really scary. I think we forget how many times we have started again, and that we can lose that belief that we can. You know, I love how we always get another opportunity, another day. Whenever we're awake and breathing, we've got an opportunity. All right, let's come up. Maybe have those hands on the outside of the knees. Bringing the legs together. I'm just wiggling around so that I'm on my mat. Let's straighten out those legs, give them a bit of a shake. Whew. Again, nice bend here. I'm going to demonstrate too that sitting on the difference that sitting on, just bringing those hips up a little bit can do, particularly in our forward fold or a lot of our seated positions. So again, we are going to come into our forward fold. So bending those knees, thinking nice and tall, nice and straight, maybe reaching up. And as you exhale, just reaching forward. And again, we don't have to be completely flat or have our nose on our knees or our nose on our toes. We're just really wanting to open up in the backs of the legs. Open in here too in that back. You don't want to be having any pain here. So if you do have any pain, just back off a little bit. It's not a competition. Our body's going to be different every day, depending on what we've done, depending on how we're feeling, how we slept. I think the best gift we can give ourselves is really noticing how are we today and what do we need. And that's not always easy to listen to. That takes practice too. Okay. Let's come up from that forward fold and we're going to come down. We've made it. We've got to Shavasana. We're almost there. Sorry, that's almost there. I'm just rolling down because that feels comfortable for me. But if that is not a safe way for you to get down, please come down onto your back in a way that's comfortable. I'm just sort of got my hands on my knees here and just sort of rocking from side to side. You might want to do a few little circles here. That just feels so good on my lower back. Let's go the other way. Let those feet come down on the ground just a little bit further than, you don't want to be able to touch those heels. You want them a little bit further. We're just going to do a couple bridges here. So hands nice and flat on the mat beside your body. Thinking about bringing keeping the legs nice and parallel. So you don't want to have your knees sort of coming too far in together or flopping too far out. So really thinking about those nice strong lines of your legs. And then we're going to engage that core and we're going to lift those hips up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to do another cycle here. And then as you exhale, lower them down. Okay, let's go again. Inhale and then exhale, up we go. Keep breathing here, not holding the breath. Squeeze those legs. Coming down. Let's do one more. Last time here. Coming down. And we're just going to then lift that right foot up, maybe doing some little circles there. And then rest that ankle onto the left knee. And then allow, just sort of thinking about pushing that right knee away. If you would like a bit more of a stretch there in that hip, maybe bringing the hands behind the leg. You could also have a towel and use that to bring the leg in closer if it's hard to reach. But you can also just be right here, keeping that left foot on the ground. Lovely. Let's bring that right foot down to the ground now. That left foot's going to come up, do some circles. And the other way. And then crossing that left foot over the right knee. And just thinking about opening up in that left hip and pushing that left knee away. Option to grab underneath behind that right leg for a bit more of a stretch. That's what you need tonight. And then allowing that left foot to come out of that, back on the floor. And again, here in our final pose, Shavasana, we've made it. You might want to have, if Shavasana lying flat's not going to be good for you, then you might want to have your feet far apart, sort of just almost at the edges of your mat if you're on a yoga mat, and then allow the knees just to touch, to fall in on each other. Or if Shavasana is what your body is asking for, then just let those legs straighten out. Make any little adjustments you need to, any last wiggles before we come into our stillness. My hair tie is right in the wrong position. And deciding whether you want to have your hands next to your body or maybe resting on the belly, resting over the hips. Closing the eyes if they're not already closed. Maybe imagining the ground coming up to meet the body, supporting you fully. Giving yourself this time of rest. Getting that balance of rest and movement. Something I think yoga can really teach us. Doesn't all have to be just fancy, daring poses. It can be just lying still, being with your body, with your breath. And maybe just noticing what is the rhythm of the breath now. Noticing how's the body feeling. How is the mind?